Preseason, game number 2, Knicks versus Pistons. Score 99-91, Pistons won. But who cares about the score? Who cares about really the numbers? All about the play, development of players, how well they progressed since the previous season, if they've gotten some mistakes or issues out of their game. Do they fit into Tom Thibodeau's offense? Will they spill out properly on defense? Who we go with 9 to 10 man rotation? Let's talk about it. So, overall, it was a sloppy game. You saw Tom Thibodeau come out with what we presume to be the starting lineup for the regular season. Elfrid Payton, R.J. Barrett, Alec Burks, Julius Randle, and Nerlens Noel's. Just look at his team in the game today. Again, I'm not necessarily looking at the numbers. Obviously, the best player today on the court was R.J. Barrett, going 10 for 17 for about 25 points, 4 for 5 at the free throw line, only 1 for 5 from the three-point line, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, and about 4 turnovers for a +0. But I will say this. He's aggressive in the pick and roll sets. You saw him be able to get the ball to the proper man. His decision making was fairly solid, even though he did have the turnovers. The thing that I was most so worried about or concerned about was the shooting form. Now, obviously, the three-pointers didn't go through, but the mid-range he shot fairly well. Again, the form is there. He did put in work over the summer, and it shows. No more of the really herky-jerky. He kind of, it's like a wave through his body as he shoots. Really impressed with how nice and compact, how it's now one motion, that it's more, the power within the shot is more predicated on the flick of the wrist, as you can see throughout the game. And so again, salute to R.J. Barrett. Again, not saying his game was perfect. He has a lot of things to work on. There were points in the game where he did try to be too aggressive, driving into traffic, lost the ball. But again, R.J. Barrett is slowly budding into a solid player, if not a star or anything higher than that for the Knicks. Next up will be Alec Burks, the guy that everyone said, oh, Alec Burks, he sucks after the first preseason game. Again, this guy's a veteran, played with the Golden State Warriors and the 76ers last year, consummate pro, good three-point shooter in the show tonight, having about 15 points, 3 for 5 from the three-point line, 5 for 9 from the field, altogether 2 assists, 5 rebounds. The guy was fairly solid, but again, he's a veteran. He hasn't become unrattled, or he's not one of these guys that we're going to look and overanalyze as to whether he's lost it all. I mean, the guy is a fairly compact player, solid pro. Again, no real qualms. He'd probably get in the starting gig at probably the 2 or the 3 position, depending on how Tom Thibodeau kind of irons out the lineup. For Payton, fairly blah game, about 4 points. 2 assists, 2 rebounds, only 18 points again. I think that Tom Thibodeau knows who will most likely start the point guard position, so there's no need to really kind of showcase him or exhibit him. Again, Elfrid Payton's not a good shooter, but he can facilitate. Again, he's showing his defensive chops, getting around picks, being aggressive and disrupting the pick and roll, resetting back onto his man. And I think that he's taken to Tom Thibodeau's idea of what a proper ice pick and roll defense is, the same defense that he's ran in Chicago, as well as tried to implement with the Timberwolves. And so again, Elfrid Payton, blah game. Again, the points don't really mean much to me. He's basically showing what he's been doing for most of his career, be able to slash, get it to the open man. Even though he does have the relationship with Julius Randle, it seems at times. But from what I'm seeing, it's the same thing with Elfrid Payton. Can't shoot, but can facilitate and can slash. So nothing too outlandish or too eye-popping to me with regards to this game today. Nerlens Noel, about 21 minutes, 3 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. I thought he had a fairly decent game. He did have 2 personal fouls, was a plus 10 from the court. It's night and day when you see the defensive fundamentals between Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. Mitchell Robinson got into foul trouble pretty badly, and I believe fairly early on had about 5 fouls. Personal fouls, the most blatant one was the jump on Blake Griffin, where Blake Griffin was driving to the basket with Obi Toppin leading him into the heart of the defense or the heart of the paint. And instead of Mitch Robinson just stepping up and using his arms, which would have been good enough defense given how tall and lanky he is, the guy jumped straight into Blake Griffin before Blake Griffin even got the lift on his legs. And so again, just back on the Wells, you saw him throughout the game, just playing solid defense, keeping his feet on the ground. But during the Wells, he had a really nice block early in the third quarter, and you just see that the fundamentals between Mitch and Nerlens Wells are just night and day. Nerlens Wells on that play in the early third quarter waited until the ball was in the air, and then attacked the ball in the air again to the hoop. His awareness as to waiting to when the shot goes up, kind of surveying how the ball handler's moving, just night and day compared to Mitchell Robinson. Obi Toppin, the heralded rookie who had a fairly good game in the first preseason, today looked like a rookie. And again, it's going to happen. The kid is young. It's just his second NBA game. But yes, he did look like a rookie. His shot wasn't truly falling today. Only had 4 points. Was 1 for 9 from the field, 1 for 6 from the three-point line. Was 1 for 6 from the three-point. 1 for 2 from the free throw line. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. But again, this kid is fairly young. He played him out on the perimeter early on. Like to see him more on the block, but maybe this is a look that Tom Thibodeau wanted to see, whether he could be kind of that outside shooter for certain games where you have a guy like Randle possibly play more down low. But again, Obi Toppin was fairly raw today. Made several mistakes, was sloppy with the ball at times. The defense, again, sometimes because he just has these high hips, kind of tight, can't really move laterally with the ball handler. So just overall, Obi, just not a really good game. The fourth quarter, he did have a nice drive on the baseline around 10, 11 minutes left. So it's fairly early in the fourth quarter. I remember him driving baseline and drawing a foul, and how he drew was fairly smart, knowing that the defender was trying to reset on him. And over-aggressively, the defender came and hit into Obi, and now Obi could have kept trying to run to the basket or take the drive, but he played it kind of like how in soccer, where a defender's trying to come and you're kind of hovering over the ball, or you get into the ball first, and you kind of shield your body, or you shield the ball with your body to generate the foul. And so I thought that was really smart about Obi. Again, this is a guy who I think offensively is a little bit more developed than other players. Obviously, defensively, just given his high hips, which inhibits his ability to move laterally. And the low body leverage, the high center of gravity is always going to be an issue. So again, defensively, it's just going to come down to court awareness, anticipation, knowing who your opponents are. But again, offensively, even though he had an ugly game today, the shots weren't falling. That one play in the fourth quarter around 10:46, I thought was fairly impressive with how he drew the foul. Now, some other guys, especially some of the younger guys I want to get to, Kevin Knox did not have a good game. Only had 2 points, was 1 for 6, played 12 minutes, 0 for 2 from the three-point line, 4 rebounds. He was rushing shots. Obviously, everyone saw the mid-range air ball that he took. It just seemed like he was trying to make something happen. At certain points, I did see him play decent defense, but at certain points, I saw him get lost at times. Yeah, with Kevin Knox, I saw in the second quarter where he went for a head fake, jumped in the air, and the ball handler got right past him. Again, defensive principles, having to know who your man is, understanding situational basketball. Again, fundamentals, a lot of these kids are just missing. Now, I will say with Kevin Knox, I felt like it wasn't as if his lack of hitting shots or his inability to make something happen on the offensive end really got him defensively. Yes, he did go for the head fake in the second quarter, but you never saw his demeanor or his attitude kind of waver. He's kind of even killed which is what you want him to be on that even plane. So even when his shot isn't falling, that the other parts of his game, he's given maximum effort. He's focusing and concentrating on what's happening within the game. But again, just wasn't a good game for him. But hey, it happens. So for him, he has to eat that up, go back out there on Wednesday, perform his shots, be aggressive again like he was in the first game, add more or showcase more wrinkles to his game, right? He talked about the post up. In the first game, he did try a Euro step. And so he has to go out there and stick to whatever his revised game plan was over the summer after the previous season. Again, playing smarter basketball fundamentals, and not letting bad games get to you mentally. Frank Ntilikina, kind of nondescript game. He did have the 1 3-pointer, went 1 for 2 from the 3-point line, 1 for 3. Again, only just one shot. Only played 12 minutes. It seemed as if Tom Thibodeau, I think, is comfortable with him being a off guard coming off the bench. It didn't seem, a lot of people will say, hey, DSJ got a lot of minutes and whatnot. And I think given the fact that DSJ, there's a lot more uncertainty to his game. And I think that they know what they have in Frank already. This is just my assumption. I feel like they probably okay with playing Frank Ntilikina less minutes. Again, Frank played decent defense, was aggressive on his man. They did call a lot of ticky-tack fouls on him. Again, he finished the game. 6 personal fouls. He fouled out the game. But these refs today were kind of ticky-tack. It's not me sticking up for Frank. Again, not a great game. Nothing to really write home about. But I think that they're more comfortable with him. And it's just one of those games with the refs where I think that they're just trying to make it more about them. Where almost every other possession in the first half just seemed like a foul in the Knicks. And there were some that you look at and it's just like, well, where did they get this foul from? So, again, nothing too crazy with Frank Ntilikina. I'm expecting him to play a decent role in Tom Thibodeau's bench lineup. And I think today was more so showcasing what they had in guys like DSJ and even giving some minutes to Emmanuel quickly. Mitchell Robinson, not a great game. He did have 8 points, went 4 for 6 from the field. There were 3 times in the game where I saw that he could have taken a 3 or open shot, and he did not. So again, all that stuff during the summer. All these videos just show me God, sham God. And they talk about professionalism. I think that this is where some of that kind of reverberates with Mitch Robinson. It's like, hey, you're pulling all these threes and doing this God, sham God. Allen Iverson crossovers, Tim Hardaway crossovers, playing around. But what about your fundamentals down low? What about your mid-range shot? I mean, even though Noel in the first game showcased that little mid-range, Mitch Robinson didn't showcase that at all. Didn't even want to pull up for the 3. Didn't even try to drive to the basket. So again, what are you working on as a player when you go into summer workouts? Are you focused on your fundamentals? Again, this is a guy who only averaged about 22 minutes last year. I believe he went around 9 and 7. And this is for a guy who everyone sees as uber naturally gifted. And he's only playing those many minutes, so his impact is always going to be limited. Now, as you saw the Blake Griffin foul, it's like the fundamentals with him are just, they're still not there. Now, I did see one really good play in the fourth quarter where he stood his ground with the ball handler attempting to make a shot into the, I forgot who it was, who was in the paint, who got into the paint, and Mitchell Robinson kept his hand straight up, kept his foot, and he even looked at the ref to make sure that he didn't foul him, and it wasn't a foul. It was good defense. And again, he's going to need to watch film, understand that he can't just rely on his instincts and athleticism to defend each and every play. Not every play has to result in a block. Not every play has to be a highlight film, or highlight reel, excuse me. But again, Mitch Robinson has a lot of work to do. And Nerlens Noel right now, even though Nerlens Noel isn't a world beater, but with regards to that starting center position, it's looking like it might be Nerlens Noel until Mitch Robinson probably gets his fundamentals down packed and understands the game past the physical level. Now, we saw some minutes from Emmanuel quickly. Again, nothing too crazy. He did put up a shot. He missed it, and then he went back for his rebound and put it back in for the layup. Some people want to see whether he can facilitate a movement. I think at that point, I think he was in with Frank Ntilikina, and it didn't seem like as if there was much for him to do except for just make the right pass. Again, I'm not sure if he's truly a point guard or an off-ball 2 guard. I think that once we have Elfrid Payton or Austin Rivers, who it may be in the starting lineup, and he comes in maybe off the bench or whichever point guard he would most likely be playing with, you're going to see more off-guard, off-ball movement from him, playing as an off-guard, being a guy to shoot off ball, be a slasher, and provide you some facilitation chops. Again, I don't think that's really his game, but I can see Tom Thibodeau utilizing him as a scoring guard, which he's kind of in love with. It's kind of the guards that he likes since his days in Chicago with the Bulls. And so I think Quigley's going to get some minutes. I'm not sure how much in the regular season. Maybe it's a 10, 15 million average kind of thing. He comes in, hits a few threes, he plays a role, and then expands from there. But again, nothing really too crazy to write home about today. Again, he only got about 9 minutes, so nothing too crazy. But it'll be interesting to see how Tom Thibodeau implements him because, again, Tom Thibodeau does like scoring guards, guards who can shoot. He has talked about this kid's shooting, his work ethic, his defense. Again, this guy's 6'3" with a 6'8" wingspan, so that's going to come in handy for Tom Thibodeau's ice pick and roll defense. So we'll see. Now, the two guys, Dennis Smith Jr. and Julius Randle, yes. Let me start with Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. Had about 2 points, 17 minutes, 1 for 5 from the field, 0 for 2 from the three-point line. Again, the shot form I think is a lot better. Not much of that herky-jerky seen in the first two games. But again, some of the decision-making by Dennis Smith Jr. In the second quarter, around 10:23, Dennis Smith Jr. got the pick after calling off Obi, I believe it was Obi, and called the pick from Mitchell Robinson. Got the pick from Mitchell Robinson, and then proceeded to dribble to his right and didn't make the pass to Mitchell Robinson down low. And yes, it's kind of a bang-bang play, and you're hoping that he can make those type of passes, really quick passes that you see some of your better guards do, and he's just going to make the pass. And so it just remains to be seen whether remains to be seen whether Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be anything but a ball-heavy, ball-dominant guard who can't shoot. And if that's the case, he may not have a place on his team. And not to, take it to that level, but he may not have a place in the NBA. If you can't play off-ball, you can't make high-level point guard decisions. Again, you saw constantly they're throwing double teams, and he had issues trying to split them or making that proper pass out of those double teams. And as a point guard, you have to, almost on a cerebral level, when we talk about court awareness, right, situational basketball, they're going to keep throwing those double team traps at you. You got to know how to break them or make the pass to offset that, right? Get it to the open man. Now, we did see him on some dribble drives where he kicked out to the corner, and he had some excellent looks for the team. And also, his defense, I thought, today was great. Say what you want about his offense. I thought his defense was great. Again, he only had 2 personal fouls today. He had 3 assists, no steals. But I thought he was very active, very aggressive on the ball handler, attacking him at the high perimeter. I thought he was really good defensively. Now, if his offense was as good as his defense, we would call him the starting point guard today, because I thought that, compared to last year, I thought his defense today was exceptional. But offense, again, processing the game at a higher level. Like I said, that pass that he should have made to Mitchell Robinson, getting caught in double teams. It's like his dribble is kind of clunky, right? Yes, he works a lot of his athleticism and that first jump. But again, it's just, as a proper point guard, I just don't think he's it. And to me, just my humble opinion, I think he should go to the G League, refine his game. But I know people are going to kill me and say, hey, he's an NBA player, he's blah, blah. Like, fair enough, okay. I guess. I'm not trying to get on the guy. I want his career to blossom, but he's not getting a starting position on the team. Might not even get a bench role. And honest to God, I really think a guy like Miles Powell should start getting a look. Miles Powell, a guy who can score off the dribble. He's not a good facilitator, but if you're talking about getting guards who can come off the bench, score in bunches, be able to shoot, space out the floor, play off ball, Miles Powell, just from his college resume and the fact that he played in college for 4 years, was a leader, the top player at Seton Hall. And he kind of fits that mold of what Tom Thibodeau likes off of his bench guards. And guys like Miles Powell, again, I know the lineups is only going to be around 9 or 10 guys getting proper rotation, but who would you take at this point, DSJ or Miles Powell? And now the big kahuna that everybody wants to talk about, Julius Randle. Now, again, people will sit here and say, oh, he had 18 points, but he did go 4 for 11 from the field, 1 for 3 from the three-point line. I believe that three-point shot was at the end of the second quarter, if I remember. Or was that end of one of the quarters? I believe it was the second quarter. Went 9 for 12 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers. Again, I'm just... On one hand, people say he's the most productive, but again, it's on a team that loses a lot. And I just don't understand this guy, man. Again, you've seen some of the same kind of goofy spin move attempts. He had one spin move in the first quarter. Just look at my notes. The first quarter, 2:25. He took too long to pass out of the double. That generated a turnover. At 5:25, he was driving towards the hoop, had Obi open for the baseline pass, whether it was an alley or a nice little bounce pass. He missed that. Around 3:43 in the second quarter, he did have the pass to Frank, where Frank made the three-pointer, but again, he had this really sloppy dribble that was really lucky to still hold on to the ball and was able to make that pass to Frank. And you just wonder, what is he thinking on these plays? Why make these just convoluted dribbles or spins when you could play a lot more crisp and clean and just get the pass out a lot earlier, make smarter decisions? And you had the one play, Mason Plumlee catches the ball at the top of the key. Mason Plumlee's not a shooter. Randle comes up, plays up on him. Plumlee drives to the basket, draws a foul, and it's just not smart situational basketball. You should know Mason Plumlee's not going to shoot from there. I can play off, I can sag off him a little bit, help out in the passing lanes. And again, it's just not good. And there were several plays that saw Jahlil Okafor catching the ball near the paint. A pass got to him through the paint, and Randle offered absolutely no opposition. Didn't get in the way to try to draw an offensive foul. Didn't try to block the shot. Nothing. So you saw Randle, he's catching the ball at the top of the key or at the perimeter, and just way too much. He's not a point forward. Inbounds plays where the Pistons will score, and he's inbounding the ball, and it's like, dogs, get down the block or get down there. Let the proper point guard get the ball. Again, I don't know what Tom Thibodeau's doing exactly. Maybe it's to try to see where he'll fit, how he could use him. Again, but I just don't. His game is not really conducive to getting younger guys looks or guys on the team proper looks. Again, the first game, the ball's moving a lot more quicker, a lot more fluid, right? It's kind of like hot potato. Yes, everybody looked good in the first game in the second unit, and today didn't look so great. But again, you just have to wonder how much of his play stagnates the offense. Again, 18 points. I'm not saying that's bad, but this guy also did have -2 plus minus, which again is not the greatest indicator of impact. Look at his game. Could he have had 25 and possibly 6-7 assists with better decision making, getting his butt in the block more, drawing those fouls, which I'll give him credit for. When he's down in the block, he's a bruiser. He's effective. When he's driving straight to the basket, bruiser, effective. But when he starts adding these stupid spin moves, he doesn't have good lower body leverage. He has really bad body balance. When you see him drive to the basket, it's just this, fumbly guy, man. He doesn't have a really good lower base from which to drive. He's very top heavy. So again, I don't know what Thibodeau is doing. I would love to see him work more in a triangle where, if and when Thibodeau's running the triangle, he's running more as a pinch post guy, having that two-man game wherever the guy is on the weak side. But this freestyle kind of basketball, I know Thibodeau's just trying to see where everyone is. Not sure it's going to work. And so my overall thoughts of the game, sloppy. Younger guys look really bad. RJ Barrett, again, looked decent. The three-point shot wasn't falling, but again, the flick of the wrist, very nice, compact shooting. He still has a little bit of issues releasing it right at the apex, but is nowhere near as bad as last year. He's definitely worked over the summer. DSJ causes the most concern for me out of the young guys, him and Mitch Robinson. Mitch Robinson may have a little bit of leverage. I don't say leverage, but maybe a little bit ahead of DSJ, but DSJ just looks lost out there as a proper point guard. Again, his shooting form is fixed. But, as a guard in Tom Thibodeau's more, I don't say complex or complicated, more nuanced offenses, whether it be the Horns or the triangle, I'm not sure DSJ fits. And again, we saw the triangle at several points in this game, most notably in the first quarter at 10:40 and 7:58. So go check that out if you don't believe me. But definitely there was some triangle sets. I was running with the first unit, which consisted of Alfred Payne, R.J. Barrett, Alec Burks, Julius Randle, and Nerlens Noel. So again, I'm just looking at individual development of some certain guys. And the ones who I'm most impressed by, like I said, R.J. Barrett, Frank Ntilikina, even though he didn't play much today, a lot more composed game, and yes, he did foul out. DSJ, Mitch Robinson, cause for concern, and Julius Randle. Depends on what Tom Thibodeau does with him, but as of right now, I don't like the ball being too much in his hand, especially at the top of the key, perimeter. And I don't like him doing this Brahma Bowl type of spin move pirouette. I don't know what the hell that crap is, but it needs to stop. So thank you for supporting the channel. If you like what you see, please hit the like, subscribe to the channel. Please hit the dark bell so you get all the notifications. I'm definitely going to be having more breakdowns, post-game breakdowns, as well as watch-alongs. And also a series I started last season, but it's going to come out full swing, called The Good, The Bad Knicks, where I show good, bad, and Knicksian plays within the game that give us greater context, understanding, shows us some trends, shows development of individual players as well as the team, just to give you a nice little synopsis of where the team is going game by game. So again, please hit the likes, subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, between time, be safe, peace, salute, God bless. See you.